All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining Eureka Springs channel. I'm Melody Purdy, your host, and we are going to talk today here in Eureka Springs live with Mr. Cole Wakefield from the Good Shepherd Humane Society, and I've had the pleasure of volunteering with them. I know they're a wonderful organization, and they're just one other business here in town that has been affected by the COVID-19 crisis, and so I wanted to reach out to Cole today and see how they're hanging on. So let me bring on Cole. Hello, Cole. How are you? How's it going?
Good. Glad. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So tell a humane society and a shelter. I mean, you guys have got dogs and cats. So how have you been managing through all this?
It's been, I think like everybody, it's been an adjustment, and we are continuing to adjust in a day-by-day manner based upon what's going on. Early on, we were just in anticipation of what may or may not happen. We stopped our intakes or paused non-emergency intakes for a while, and continued to do adoptions though, and that meant that we ended up having a lot fewer. There's Scott in the back. Fewer animals on site. We got down to just a handful, which meant that we were able to actually do a lot of improvements and do some other stuff we need to do in training. So we've recently returned to essentially normal operations with still some adjustments.
So obviously there were all sorts of safety precautions you guys had to put in. I mean, and you can't really ask a dog to social distance, right?
No,
or a cat.
And it was, it was definitely, it's been an interesting thing because, as the information was developing, it was still for a long time, it was very fluid. We didn't know, what, transmission issues were, what were the transmission issues with pets, how bad was it going to be, and so that's why we worked real hard to quickly reduce our in-shelter population for two reasons. One is so that if, a big human illness swept through and everybody who works here got sick, we didn't have 40 or 50 animals to take care of, but everybody was sick and nobody could take care of them. And then two, we also wanted to make sure that we had space available if there was a bout of illness in town or in the county to be able to take in or to help people with any animals if they got sick. Fortunately, neither one of those things occurred, but we were ready for them, which is what we feel like is our responsibility as a legacy brick and mortar animal welfare agency, that we have to be ready for worst case scenarios. And I feel like we were, and we will continue to be.
Well, you have a lot of great people that work there. I know your staff has been diligent in making sure that they show up every day and making sure that their animals are taken care of. And I guess, a lot of people, I mean, there's this consensus within the community that, I've got all this downtime. I'm at my house and, maybe I'll go get a dog. Is that something that you're seeing happening? What's that like? What are adoptions like right now?
Adoptions have, I would say that it certainly felt, I think there were moments where we felt like, wow, we're doing a lot more. But when we pulled back and look at the numbers, what we've seen is that here, our adoption rate has maintained, and though for around the country, we just found out through some national surveys that adoptions were down nearly 40% around the country. But we had a lot of empty shelters like ours because intakes were down by, 51% around the country. I think that we probably would have seen a greater drop in the number of adoptions we had over April and March and April. But since we were actually still open for adoptions when a lot of the larger shelters in Washington County were closed, we got some of their traffic coming to look for animals here. And that meant that, I think that we had more adoptions than we would have otherwise. So we've seen like I said, pretty consistent, but not a great increase, which I think we all kind of felt like there was one, but then the data just says that there wasn't. So.
Well, I think that I guess you guys have a really great process for making sure that people are prepared for the adoption. I know there's a lot of questionnaires that you guys ask people, if they're ready to be, to be a pet owner,
Right.
So
Yeah, we have recently transferred. It's a sort of a conversational screening process where the application process begins from the moment that somebody walks in through the gate. We're talking to them and figuring out what kind of animal they want. What's going to be the best match, and then all of our staff, our kennel staff, are trained in the adoption process and helping people identify good matches, and then also going and giving disclaimers. This dog has these issues, and so you may want to try some, go to this area. But we believe firmly that most people deserve to have a pet at home, and most people are good and loving caregivers. Nobody has the perfect match for any pet, just like there's no perfect match for any person. But we try our best to fit animals into good homes and help people be successful pet owners.
you guys are really good at that, and I love the fact that you have a room there on the property where people can get to know your pet. Been out there when that process is going on, and it's really, really neat. And the fact that you actually allow them to bring their own pets that they already have in their home to see if they get along. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's very important that that people have a chance to meet the dogs or cat, well, mainly dogs at this point, at this particular issue. It's important that they meet the dogs outside of the kennel.
Sure.
So that's what we have: the meet and greet room. We have a play yard. We have these different areas where people can interact with the dog, or even if they want, they can take the dog out and go on a walk, and find other ways to interact with a dog that's in a more natural environment in the kennel. Because the dog you meet in a kennel, in a shelter, is not the dog that you're going to take home.
Right.
The dogs are behaving differently, and we do allow meet and greets with other pets. It's people options whether they want to do it here. I started doing more recommending, hey, if you have animals at home, do the meet and greet there. Like you can do it, and we go over the process of here's how you do a safe and effective meet and greet. Because what we found is that when you bring an animal, like if you bring an owned animal into the shelter, it's off its game. So it thinks that it feels it can be defensive, and so the actual response that it has towards the potential new family member may not be what it would be if that dog was being introduced in the home where he was already comfortable and secure. Some people are comfortable doing that, some people aren't, so we offer both options.
That's a great process. I love that you guys are doing that. Thank you for doing that. I wanted to jump right ahead to a couple of things I wanted to touch base with you. I know that you guys have been doing a lot of refurbishments, and I wanted to show folks, I know during this crisis, you guys are still busy on renovations. So let's jump over there. Let me show that to everybody on the screen. This is some renovations. This is a before picture, right, Cole?
Right. Yeah, this is a before picture. This is a picture of one of our dog runs. We have double-sided runs. But you can see it had been a while since they'd been painted, and there was some sealing that needed to be done. So yeah, it was time. And
look at that!
Look at that little coat of paint.
I love it.
We had a wonderful volunteer, or we have a volunteer named Vicky. She's put a lot of come in and put a lot of work in that for us. And since we had the kennels empty because we had reduced our population so much, we were able to get in there. And so we still have a number of kennels that are out of service probably just until midweek next week. And then by that point in time, all the sealing and everything will be done, and we'll be back up being able to run at full speed. But we definitely had time to do some things that needed to be done.
I love it. I love it. And another thing that you guys are doing during the time I thought was really, really cool, that was getting out extra pet food to folks. So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. One of the big concerns with what's been going on is the economic impact, and especially in Carroll County, the impact on tourism-based businesses has been pretty epic. The service-based industries in Eureka, and then we see the same thing in the factories and processing-based industries in Berryville and Green Forest. So we didn't want people to lose their jobs or be furloughed and all of a sudden feel like they can't afford to take care of their pet and want to turn it into the shelter. So we quickly got on setting up some food banks. So we had a pretty big food donation just a couple months ago. We had a lot of that left that allowed us to start that, and then we've gotten some other donations and grants money. So people can now they can get pet food supplied by us through Loaves and Fishes in Berryville, the food bank, and then through the Flint Street food bank in Eureka Springs. You can go up and get pet food. So you don't, take care of that animal, so you don't feel like you need to give up your own food, because some people will give up their own food for their pets.
Right.
And we don't want them to feel like they need to do that, and we don't want them to feel like they need to give up the pet.
Yes.
When such an easy solution of providing some pet food is available.
That's great. I love that. Thank y'all for doing that. And I wanted to also, we're kind of running a little long, so I want to cut it just right to another issue that I know that we're all facing. In particular, the grass is getting green outside. It's getting the warmer temperatures. I've already purchased for my little Bichon. I've got a Bichon for Zay. She's so cute. I'll have to bring her here, but she's out running around right now. But heartworm and tick medicine. I'm in the midst of buying that, and it is not cheap. I just got through purchasing mine from a veterinarian here locally, and they're really good at giving me good prices. But it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than what can happen if you don't use it.
True, absolutely.
Especially, we're looking at, like I said, as it's getting warmer, it's important actually to do these preventatives year round. But we've already seen a pretty strong presence of ticks on animals that are coming in. So I think we're going to have a strong tick season. In my backyard, I run into ticks. So, and ticks for cats, they can spread cytox or bobcat fever, which is generally a death sentence for a healthy cat.
Got it.
And so, a lot of your outdoor cats running around the neighborhood, especially in Eureka, where we have a lot of deer and we have a lot of other animals that are carrying these ticks, they need to have that prevention. And then also, it's a big deal for dogs in Arkansas is heartworms. And that is, it can cost you $30 a month for heartworm preventative, for the mid-range heartworm preventative. But if your dog gets bit by a mosquito that's carrying heartworms, you're talking about $1,000 plus on your treatment, and putting your dog through a pretty taxing treatment that in itself, can damage the heart. So, these are both, can cost you between $30 to $60 a month, but can save the animal's life. And it's definitely, prevention is worth a pound of prevention, ounce of cure type thing on these for sure. And we encourage people to do that. And we're looking at ways that hopefully we recently have received some grant money, including a grant from the Rachel Ray Foundation that helps.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, to help us with food banks and providing preventative support to local people. So as we try to work out exactly what that is, we're hoping that either working through local vets or through some special events or something, that we'd be able to provide some of these solutions at a cheap or at a low or no cost to area people in need. But we're working on trying to do that, because again, it's something that is when it comes to the life of the pet and then the cost of the actual treatment, these preventions are good. And I think, on your flea and tick, I always tell people you don't have to buy the fanciest stuff, but you don't want to buy the cheapest stuff. You want to go to the store and don't get the stuff on the bottom shelf. You don't have to pay top dollar for the stuff on the top shelf. Most of that stuff on the middle shelf
is okay. Okay. We've got some people that are watching, Cole, and I do have wanted to show you. I've got one comment. A good question from one of our other local nonprofits here. The Purple Flower Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Resources and Support has got a question for you. Their question is, they said here, Are you situated to help board pets short term for victims of domestic violence that don't want to leave their pet if they need to go into a shelter?
Yeah,
So,
that is a very important issue. Right before all of this happened with the COVID virus, we were actually working on a major grant to renovate part of this building to provide special kennels for that purpose. Though the this economic issue has turned the whole grant world and everything upside down.
right,
But we don't have a specific program at the moment, though it is something that I personally believe is very important.
definitely.
And there are potential on case by case basis where if we can't house somebody's animal, we can certainly try to facilitate doing that. I mean, I don't think anybody wants anybody to feel like they either have to stay in an abusive situation or dump their animal on a dirt road to feel safe.
Right. Okay.
So, that is critical, is something that's very much
Yeah.
what our needs, and we deal with, and the big issue is capacity. And then
Absolutely.
there's also certain legal issues on what we can provide as far as a service without, as a, nonprofit shelter and different things like that. But it's definitely something that's very much on our mind, that
Good.
we're going to continue to develop, and we're going to continue to push. Either I don't know if we're going to be able to do the major push or renovation that we had planned, just because I'm not sure those grants are still intact. But
Got it.
I do plan on this year developing something. And again, if somebody is in that situation, if they're in a domestic violence situation, they need to call Purple Flower. And if there is an issue with pets that's keeping somebody from doing what needs to be done, then
Okay.
Purple Flower can
Right.
reach out to us, and we will do what we need to do.
All right. We'll encourage them to reach back. Looks like they're listening, and they said thank you, appreciate you. Awesome. Purple Flower is another one of those great local nonprofits, and I'm glad to see that you guys can hopefully work together.
Yeah,
maybe work out something if you're able to. That's great. Let's give everybody an opportunity. We'll make sure that y'all can go and look at the Good Shepherd Humane Society's website. It's goodshepherd-hs.org. And if you have questions, I'm sure they can give you a call, right? Phone number there on the screen.
Yeah.
If you need to call them and ask them a specific question during this time, if you need assistance, or if you have questions out there, you can reach out to Cole there and the great staff there. Dealing with this has been a challenge, and you guys have risen to the task very, very well. And we all appreciate everything that you and the staff and the board members continue to do to support a community. We appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you. And we couldn't do it without, it is the community that supports us, that enables us to do this. Our great board, great donors, and great.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy to be a part of Eureka Springs in Carroll County, and the support we get from there is what enables us to continue to do what we do.
Yes. And hopefully we'll all get back on task, and we'll be able to, I know your major fundraiser you've had to get postponed, and hopefully that'll be back on task. And in the meantime, if you'd like to donate, you can go to their website. You'd have a donor portal. If you have the means to be able to support the shelter, plees do so. Even if it's only $5, I know they would appreciate it.
I have to mention that the thrift stores are reopening.
Good deal. Good deal.
I'm getting so much trouble if I don't. So the thrift stores are reopening, and they are the primary source of our funding.
Right.
So the June 4th is the Eureka store, and then June 10th, the store in Berryville will be reopening. So everybody come out and support us that way, get some good deals.
Absolutely. It's a great place to shop. I love it. I go there sometimes myself. And really great place to shop. So it's awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Cole, for everything again. And thank you for joining us today. And good luck. And we'll be there for you as best we can. And thank you for everything. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
So there you have it. Good Shepherd, goodshepherd-hs.org. If you want to go to their website, donor portal, information, everything you'd want to know is right there on their website. Like I said, give them a call if you have a question or two. Ask for Cole or for Scott. Scott's a great person to resource there too. So thank you for joining Eureka Springs channel, and we will hope to bring you more live streams here from Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Thank you for joining us, and we'll hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.